Welcome to another episode of Neutral Looks using my McGrath palettes. I mentioned in my previous video that I was thinking about concluding this series, but then there was a shade that I really could not imagine myself not including in this series. The shade in question is this one. This is the shade Inferno in the Decadence palette, and I just really love this shade. I could not imagine not including it in this series. I'm going to, by the way, start applying my color cosmetics because I've already applied my foundation, as you can probably already tell. To bronze, I'm going to take my Chanel Soleil Tan de Chanel and announce that I've decided to make a little adjustment to my week of neutral looks. I'm no longer going to call it a week of neutral looks. I'm going to scratch the week and just basically leave this as a running series on my channel with neutral looks featuring my McGrath palettes, because there will always be another look that I can think of, and I think for now I want to step away from it. So if I want to do something a little more colorful, I don't want to be restricted by the fact that I've decided to prolong the week of neutral looks. I do want to keep the door ajar because with the new palette coming, I'm sure there will be plenty of looks that we can include in this series. For blush today, I'm going to take Pat McGrath Nude Venus. So essentially, you're going to see this as a normal series and a playlist on my channel. But for the time being, I'm just going to continue to my regular scheduled content and just do whatever the fuck I please in terms of colors with my Pat McGrath palettes. Probably you started missing that as well. I hope that you're also on board with this idea. For highlighter, I'm going to be taking Golden Moonlight from Pat McGrath because I cannot keep my paws away from this concealer. I am so in love with it. You can tell I love something by the fact that I'm pulling for it all the time, and I really like this. I keep calling it concealer, a highlighter. Also, we are hitting town in a few minutes and I don't want to take forever to do my makeup, so I promise we're going to ramble about Stranger Things. It's just not going to be today. The usual, my sponge with a little bit of Fix Plus on it to marry all the powders on my face. Oh, another update that I wanted to give you. I did add it as a comment or like a little update on my description box in my previous video. But as you guys know, Lisa Eldridge has released some new lipsticks, and I originally said that I probably wasn't going to pick up anything immediately. But then I went on the website, it was very late in the evening, Friday, I was tired, one thing led to another, and I purchased the shades Strawberry Shock and Meet Me in Berlin. I'm going to get started on the eye look now too, so I'm going to zoom you in. Now, one thing I want to say about the shade from the Decadence palette, the shade Inferno. You can totally use it as a one and done shade, and that's usually how I use it, but today I don't feel like that. Today I really want to throw something else in my crease, so I'm going to take the Metamorphosis palette and this camel toned matte brown shade. One additional note, I believe when I did my swatching of Pat McGrath, like brown Pat McGrath eyeshadows, I have like a whole playlist of swatching Pat McGrath eyeshadows as well, by the way. I can leave that up in the cards for you. But anyway, when I was swatching my Pat McGrath browns, I discovered that this shade and the mid-tone camel brown from the Midnight Sun palette are extremely similar to each other. So if you don't have Metamorphosis, just go into your Midnight Sun palette and you're going to achieve the same result. But for me, this is a little bit easier to open, so I'm just going to run this through my crease and build it up a little bit into the outer corner. I'm not going to put anything deeper into the outer corner. I just want a little bit of a crease shade situation. So I ordered the shades Strawberry Shock and Meet Me in Berlin. Strawberry Shock is one of her insanely saturated lipsticks or lip colors. I don't really know how they're called. Several years ago she released two shades in that range, Skyscraper Rose and Rainbow Spill. I didn't purchase any of those. I still have not purchased either of those lipsticks, but I know they were like hugely popular when they first came out. And Strawberry Shock is part of that collection. It's one of the insanely saturated lips. The reason I purchased it is because your girl is a clown when it comes to red lipsticks, and this one promises to be yet something different. She said it's like a filtered red, and I'm very curious what that is. I really hope it's not something like Obsessed from Pat McGrath or Fever Dream from Pat McGrath, because based on the swatches, it could be. I'm hoping it's a little bit more watermelony than that. The reason I didn't purchase Rainbow Spill is because I'm afraid that it has too much white pigment in it and it will be too pink and maybe just a little bit too drying, and one of those like finicky lipsticks that really like sits in the dry patches of your lips. And the shade Skyscraper Rose also looks maybe just a little bit too vibrant and too fuchsia for my taste, and I think I already have fuchsias that I really enjoy in my collection. And the other shade that I bought is the shade Meet Me in Berlin, which, I'll be totally honest with you, go and watch Lisa's reveal video for these lipsticks, because she told the coolest story, like backstory about this lipstick, and how the reason I really wanted it was because of the backstory, and also because it's a brown nude and I love me a good brown nude. I'm just hoping that it's different enough from Flash 3 that I didn't like get myself yet another version of Flash 3. It seems like it's more brown, whereas Flash 3 has just a bit more red in it. By the way, I'm going to take my NYX glitter glue now. So I'm hoping that it's still quite different, and I absolutely adore the Luxuriously Lucent lipsticks from Lisa Eldridge. They're just such a glorious, like, sheer, comfortable cream formula. Very buildable. I just really love that formula. So I think I will be very happy with both of my purchases. When they come in, we're going to swatch them together and find out whether I duped myself. But in the meantime, I'm just really excited. I think they're going to be here quite soon because Lisa usually ships quite fast. Now, let's move into the star of this show, aka Inferno from the Decadence palette. This shadow is truly only present in the Decadence palette. It doesn't come in any other palette, and it is one of the most insanely unique nudes you're ever going to find. I don't know whether you can see, it has that like muted copper tone over a dark base. Isn't that like super unique? I promise you, you've never seen an eyeshadow like that. It's very unique and specific to this eyeshadow palette, so I can't really tell you that you can open another eyeshadow palette from Pat and basically get the same effect. I'm going to just use my finger to apply this shade, by the way. Because of that slightly darker tone, the copper color is quite muted, so that's the reason I think this is such a beautiful, like, neutral eyeshadow. And I know that at least one of you will be very happy to see this eyeshadow featured in this video. I know that Claudia really likes Inferno as well. And FYI, my friend Claudia, who is one of the most like sophisticated but critical makeup enthusiasts out there, especially when it comes to luxury makeup, has recently started her own YouTube channel, and I highly recommend you go and watch her content. If you wanted someone with an extra level of sass, especially when it comes to Pat McGrath Labs, I'm very partial to Pat, so sometimes I'm unable to be truly critical of her brand. Claudia never fails to be critical of her, so go watch Claudia. She also loves Inferno, so I'm sure she will be really happy to see it featured in this series. Isn't that so pretty? That's so pretty. In my inner corners, I'm actually going to keep it rather simple. I'm just going to go back into a golden moonlight here and apply that into the tear duct area to lighten up. I was thinking what would be a fun glitter to put over top of Inferno, and I decided, or like my gut kind of like went into the direction of this Astral from the Bridgerton palette, because I feel like they have those like slightly similar rosy copper tones, and this is just going to add that extra level of dimension to Inferno, but without taking away too much from it. So just a few flakes, you don't have to go crazy, don't spritz your brush or anything, just take a few flakes and work them into Inferno. And if you didn't want extra glitz, you could just stop at applying Inferno and that would be it. This is really pretty, I'm really digging it. On my lower lash line, I'm just going to go back into Inferno and apply this with my little precision brush here. And maybe as a last step, I will just lightly blend out with the matte shade we applied in the crease. I totally had an ulterior motive in wearing such a muted look on my eyes. I was just really in the mood to wear Obsessed from Pat McGrath Labs. So this is one of the most neon colors that I have in my collection. And this, in terms of formula, in terms of saturation and intensity of the pigment, is a bit what I expect from those insanely saturated lipsticks from Lisa Eldridge. This is a gorgeous lipstick. You can see that it almost looks neon on my lips. It is not for the faint of heart, but it is so much fun. Overall, I'm pretty happy with how this look turned out. I think the shade Inferno is one of those like hidden gems from Pat McGrath collection that nobody really ever talks about, but it's absolutely one of the most unique shades that she has ever produced. So I truly hope that you enjoyed this look. Let me know what you thought about it. As usual, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!
Bye!